Hello again everyone, and welcome back to Useful Detonator Jumps, where I show you a vast range of jumps Pyro can do on maps and show how useful they can be. They'll range from fairly useful to very useful, as a lot of maps don't exactly take detonator jumps into account in their layout, meaning some of them could be as simple as sticky or rocket jumping, but with Pyro instead. Keep in mind that I'm no detonator expert, so if I miss any I'd be happy if you told me down below and I'll amend them in the next part. Today we'll be going through all of the King of the Hill maps as voted by people on the Discord server, but first an amendment to the Capture the Flag video. There are a couple of jumps I either forgot, didn't know, or straight up couldn't do until I had some more practice. We'll begin by going back to 2 Fort again, with a grater near the front of each base. There's a hole in it and you can easily jump up there with a good blast. It's possible to skip the courtyard area entirely with this jump and sneak past engineers set up around the area. I had no idea how I missed that one, but thanks to Bacon and Eggs for reminding me of it. The next two were shown by Dotty8, with this one being just outside of each team's base. Jump on the barrel sitting just near the entrances and do a detonator jump to clear the small overhang above, and you can land on the balcony on each side. It's not too difficult to pull off and can lend for some sneaking onto the balcony instead of running across the bridge where snipers can see. The next is a jump that I said wasn't possible on well, but with some video evidence by Dotty as well as practicing myself, I can now confirm that the jump to the second floor is indeed possible. It's pretty difficult and you have to clear the overhang quite a bit, but it is indeed a jump that you can do. So again, thanks to Dotty for these two. And without further ado, let's go on with the King of the Hill map, starting with Badlands. Beginning near the spawn area, there's an interesting jump you can make near the hut. You can jump from the small bridge to the wall near the balcony close to the point. From there you can do another jump onto the balcony. This could probably be done with only one well-placed jump to get to the balcony, but for those who aren't as good with jumping like I am, it makes for a decent alternative. I'd say doing it on the enemy's side of the map will be the best use for this, as you can sneak behind unsuspecting players and take them out. Speaking of the middle point, there are 2 rocks on each side. You can detonate a jump onto any of these rocks and jump onto the balcony areas once again, or straight up jump from the middle onto the balconies instead. A good jump if there are enemies in the building that will stop you from getting there easily, and hopefully the snipers won't expect a pyro to fly at them. You can also jump from the area just underneath into the window as a mix-up, so they won't predict your movements all the time. Not much on the KOTH version of this map, but I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty more when we get to the CP version. Next we move on to Brazil, one of the newer maps on this list. Just as you're leaving spawn, there's a ledge you can get to if you didn't take the stairs nearby. Just do an easy detonator blast up there and done. This can be helpful when being chased down by enemies due to it being near the doors just outside the point as well, so an alternate path will help in survivability, or it can help get up there if you miss the stairs I guess. The staircase in the middle building is another jump area you can catch enemies off guard with as well, as rather than going up the stairs you can make a quick jump to skip them and climb a little faster. This can be done for cornering off enemies trying to escape as well as getting to the front line a little faster. If you did go up the stairs earlier, another jump you can perform is from the balcony at the back to the one closer to the point. Not a huge one, but it can skip a little bit of time and can potentially catch enemies by surprise. And from that same ledge you landed on, you can do yet another one onto a ledge near the windows opposite the point. These together can make for a quicker rollout to the point, and when used well can impede some enemies altogether, as they won't be expecting a pyro to be just outside their view coming out of nowhere. And of course you can jump from here onto the point, which is normally a one-way trip from the point to the ledge, but with the power of flare jumping you can make the gap go in the opposite way. We're on to Harvest next, which has a couple of neat jumps you can perform. The first is right outside your spawn, as there are 2 wooden crates sitting in the corner. Just jump on top of them and blast your way onto the rooftop above. Saves a heck of a lot of time from just walking up the stairs normally, and is quite handy if you get behind enemy lines and decide you want to fry a few snipers. From the same rooftop you can perform a jump onto the top of the shack where the control point is. This is very handy to do, as a lot of players seemingly don't look up very often, which gives you the element of surprise, seeing as how you can rain down fire onto those trying to capture your point. The next ones are just outside the buildings we just jumped up to. You'll see a wheel, a barrel and a piece of roofing next to the wall. You can jump on top of the roofing or wheel and perform a jump into the windowsills. Again, this can be used to surprise enemies who are residing here, especially snipers. And lastly, you can perform a jump onto the top of each team's shed. This saves a small bit of time from walking up to the sides and can change how you attack enemies sitting on top of them. Not a very difficult one, but can be handy sometimes. High Pass is our next map, and there are a few small jumps that, while not too complex, can help in terms of mobility. Just as you leave spawn, there's a small area next to this building and an open windowsill. You can jump up there with a couple of flare jumps to gain access. This isn't particularly helpful when on your side of the map, but could be a useful jump when sneaking around the enemy's side. Near the same area you exit there is a jump that you can make onto the bridge. An easy jump that you can surprise people with and doesn't take too much effort to perform. Yet again, in the same area you have 2 concrete slabs on top of each other other that you can climb. However, with a single detonator jump you can get up much quicker, definitely a good one if you're desperate for time. And the final useful jump you can make is just on the ledge near the huts on each side. Another singular blast is all it takes to get up there, and again can make for an easy escape from enemies or if you need to restock quickly. I said useful jump there since you can jump up onto this ledge here, but there's no use for this unless you want to spam flares from a distance, but I thought it'd be a silly one to include. We next move on to Khon King, probably one of my favourite maps and a hotspot for detonator jumps in general. When you come out the front doors of spawn, you'll see boxes on the left and a bus on the right. We can first use these boxes to our advantage to jump to the bridge just opposite. This is fairly handy when trying to get to a different path to the one you're currently on and can be handy to attack enemies. You can also jump onto the bus on the right with a well-placed blast as well. With this you can access some areas that are unreachable to most classes, meaning you can surprise attack plenty of enemies with the right tools equipped. Not only is this handy to keep out of the sight of your enemies, it can provide for some neat gameplay differences. Going to your left you'll find two staircases with a roof on top of one of them. You can blast onto the top of these, which you can then jump again onto other areas around the point. This also includes jumps you can make onto the small shops near the point as well as to the roof on top. This are all possible with a single blast jump and can make for some interesting movements when tied together. You can do these separately or together if you feel like going for something more unique. I tried a couple on the lower levels under the point but didn't really find any, so if there are any possible please let me know and I'll try and add them to the beginning of the next part. Next up is Lakeside, which has a few somewhat useful jumps. When coming out of spawn there are a few rocks on the left side. Climb up them and you can blast your way onto the bridge area just opposite. This can help you in case you went the other way where the stairs are, or to surprise enemies that are attacking your teammates residing there. You can alternatively make the same jump on the opposite side too by jumping on top of the box situated in the corner and doing the same jump up there. Quite handy if you're on the opposite team and want to surprise a couple of enemies yourself. There's also a ledge behind on each team side that you can jump to in case you need a breather from enemies. Jumping from the ramp nearby makes for an easy jump and allows you to be the perfect distraction in some situations. Just near that same ramp there's a box in the right corner. Jump on top of it and you can blast onto a ledge again just behind enemies so you can create more distractions while your team captures the point to win. Not much use other than being a nuisance, but useful if you do so. Near the same area that bridge was, there should be some barrels near the ramp going to the building in the centre. You can jump onto them and flare jump your way up there too. Not a whole lot of benefits for this one other than the element of surprise I suppose. There's an interesting set of jumps you can create to jump onto the sniper perch too if you so desire. From the side of them there's an area with a health pack nearby. You can jump on the walls next to them and blast onto the perch. Alternatively, a riskier approach is by jumping onto the corners near the point, then jump into the tree and then doing a jump to the perch. You could always mix and match these to your liking, but there are at least a couple of interesting jumps you can mess around with. We move on to Lazarus next with a couple of okay jumps overall. The first is when you go to the left side coming out of spawn. There's an incline you can go up where you can detonate a jump quickly to get to the opening near the point quicker. With the hill going kind of around and back to the path, this can make for faster travelling a lot of the time. Funnily enough, you can go straight back up into that opening from the point with a well placed jump again. This can make for a surprise attack on those camping there and engineers setting up teleporters. This is probably the best jump on the whole map in my opinion. Near the wooden bridges on each side there's a little opening you can perform a jump in to again traverse the area a little faster than normal. Not much more to say about this one, so we'll move on to one that I don't think is possible but would like to know by more skilled detonator users. There's a large ammo box on each side with an opening players fall down from. I've tried plenty of times to jump back up but to no avail. I feel like it's too high up to easily get to, so if it is indeed possible do let me know, but overall that's it for this map, not that many. With that one done we move on to Nucleus, a map filled with interesting jumps all around. Near the bottom of the map you can jump back up to the area near the point, a lot quicker than walking there and could be a useful surprise in certain situations. Near that same area just outside the resupply for each team you can jump up there with a single blast as well. This again can make for an alternate path to the point if the main exit is blocked by the enemy team, and since it's down near the bottom it gives you a chance to get around them. Near the bottom again you can blast your way onto the platforms extending to the point, which saves a little time running up to the ramps and could potentially catch enemies off guard. This next one is really a jump that can be performed pretty much anywhere on the top floor of the map. First you'll want to go to the top where it says A outside and jump on the railings. Next you can detonate a jump on top of the room and now you're on top of the whole map. You can run around and perform a couple more to get on top of other rooms, and funnily enough I found an opening on the B side that I've never seen before, nor do I know what it could be for other than spamming grenade pipes. But overall this jump lets you traverse the whole map a lot easier and can make for some funny death from above moments every now and again. There isn't a whole lot different with the King of the Hill version of Sawmill in all honesty. Every jump I mentioned in the CTF version of this map is still doable here, and the doors that were blocked off before are now open. So if you want to know about the jumps that you can do here, check out the CTF episode. I don't want to waste any more time with this map since they're pretty much alike, so we're moving on to Sweden. Literally right outside of spawn you can climb the boxes to your right and blast onto the rooftop. This can be handy as you can then detonate a jump onto the arch or tree and then to the middle area. It can be handy as an alternate route to the enemy, but don't expect a lot of health unless you are overhealed. From near the waterfall you can get back to the main area near the point by going to one of the sides and then blasting up there. Somewhat handy if you want to get nearer to the point in a less risky way and could potentially surprise some people. Near that same area area there are ledges on each side that seemingly just go to an ammo pack. However, you can jump from here onto the roof in the middle with a well placed jump. It's fairly easy to pull off too, so it's another way that you can go if you want to attack enemies from above on the point. On the sides where you jump down to the building in the middle away from the point, you can perform a small jump to get back up to the ledge where you came from. In a game, this can help you get back to the base if you don't want to risk going through a ton of enemies, so this can be quite a useful jump. When you get to the top of this building, you can jump up to the next part of the roof. This can be handy for sneak attacks on enemies who come here, especially snipers who like to be out of the way when taking your team out. Now, it isn't a useful jump unless you want to be useless, but I have found that you can in fact jump to the area off in the distance. For this, you need to traverse the trees carefully near the building we just talked about, and then jump onto the tree near the edge. Get as close to the end of the tree branch as you possibly can, and you can detonate a jump onto the area. Again, it's not useful in any way, but I thought this was an interesting enough jump to include here. Finally, we'll look at Viaduct. The first obvious jump you can do on each side is near the point where you can blast your way up to where snipers usually are. This can not only provide a surprise for them, but if you're quiet enough, you can get around other enemies and attack from behind. Not a bad jump overall in terms of viability. The next couple of jumps are also around the middle point. There's a small bridge with a covering blocking off most of it from the point side. It's completely open on the other side, however, so you can jump up quite easily there, or with the small opening point side. From here, you can then jump onto the top floor near the sniper's perch mentioned earlier. It's very useful for sneaking around, but since enemies could potentially see you from their side, you'll have to make these when the coast is clear. And that does it for the King of the Hill edition of Useful Detonator Jumps. Are there any I missed? Of course there is, so if you know any, please let me know down below, and like I said earlier, I'll add them to the beginning of the next part. Unlike last time, I can tell you that the next episode will be focusing on the payload maps, so hopefully you will look forward to seeing what jumps can be made on your favourite cart pushing maps. If you're enjoying the series so far, please leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. All of them are very much appreciated. And as always, this has been your Fempire enthusiast BonOakley signing out. See you guys in the next one.